beauty of water. Just a few words that we don't typically hear together in one sentence. There is so much more truth to this than we care to realize.
Clean, fresh drinking water is essential to human and other life. Freshwater ecosystems support us in so many different ways. Dams can be built to harness the power of rivers to generate electricity. Water allows plant life and animal life to survive. Rivers provide water for industry, handling waste, producing timber, and supplying food. Water sustains agriculture, industry, energy. Water sustains life.
The earth is unique in itself for having water at all. But we are abusing of our privilege.
It is clear that water is essential for living. So why are so many of us unaware of its importance? Here in Canada, we are so accustomed to having the fortune of being surrounded by fresh water.
It is something so typical to us that we tend to be unaware of the quantities that the rest of the world has, or should we say, doesn't have.
Our world is made up of 6 billion people. And Earth contains 366 quintillion gallons of water. That must sound like a very large number, but consider this. 97.5% of this water is salty, and only 2.5% is fresh water. Now, even out of this 2.5%, it is not entirely available to most of us. 68.9% is locked up in polar ice caps and glaciers. 30.8% is groundwater, and 0.3% is from lakes and rivers. This leaves us with barely any fresh water readily available to us. That is just a part of 2.5% of water, just a part for 6 billion people. If you think that this is enough, you are greatly mistaken.
In our 200,000 years on Earth, humanity has hopelessly upset Mother Nature's delicate balance. Some experts claim that we have less than 10 years to change our pattern of consumption and reverse the trend before the damage is irreversible. The damage that we are talking about isn't just minor. The Aral Sea, once having been Asia's largest lake, is now 1/10 the size it was 50 years ago. Also, groundwater depletion in Mexico City has caused it to sink 30 feet. You see, situations like this are continuously popping up, and our world has no idea. Even rivers are running dry. Many major rivers, including the Colorado, Ganges, Indus, Rio Grande, and Yellow, are so overtapped that they are now running dry for part of the year. Freshwater wetlands have shrunk by about half worldwide.
Today, 7 billion of us share this precious resource. New research shows that in many parts of the world, not enough water is being left in rivers to sustain the uses that they provide to society. This crisis isn't just affecting us, it is jeopardizing species that depend on fresh water. Low flows lead to a reduction in freshwater fish spawning areas and can reduce fish migration. It also causes the algae to increase, which turns the water green and kills the fish living there. Then, this affects the animals that drink from this water. Also, it greatly affects the livelihoods of farmers, fishers, and downstream communities and water users. The cycle is never ending, and it's a dangerous one.
Water plays an important role in the world's economy. It functions as a solvent for a wide variety of chemical substances and it facilitates industrial cooling. Pollution and waste due to the industrial exploitation and overpopulation are serious threats to our freshwater resources. These industries pay off the government to just look the other way while they dump this waste right into our waters. Residential, commercial, and industrial sites are often concentrated near waterways, lakes, and rivers. Historically, people have congregated by fresh water and used it as a medium for transportations of goods and people. What we don't realize is how negative this can be for our environment and for our futures. In the last century alone, our population has tripled. With this, our water consumption has increased sixfold. Such a small amount of people thought this would get to this point, but it's only going to get worse.
The growing trend towards corporate privatization of water is no imaginary threat. Large companies are presently trying to get into the water market, seeing it as blue gold. They set the prices way beyond the reach of the poor. They see it as a profit, not as a fundamental right or as something essential for people and nature. Atlanta, Georgia signed a 20-year contract with a multinational company to run their water and sewer system, thinking that this could be a successful privatization. It didn't work out for anyone. With the water having turned brown and corruption involved in the contract, the mayor ended up going to jail. They were completely unable to provide any drinkable water. This is just an example of what could go wrong, and even with this, people still continue to follow this exact plan.
While the amount of fresh water on the planet has remained fairly constant over time, the population has greatly increased. This means that every year, competition for a clean, abundant supply of water for drinking, cooking, bathing, and life has intensified. Approximately 70% of our fresh water is consumed by agriculture alone. Specifically, 40% of the world's grain harvest is produced on irrigated land. But without having enough water, people do not have the means of watering their crops. Therefore, we do not have the means of providing the food to the fast-growing population. Everything is connected, and when one fails, so may the rest.
For Canadians, the sustainability of freshwater has never been a concern. We are one of the world's richest countries in terms of freshwater, and we take its abundance for granted. Canada's use of freshwater is extremely high, yet the quality and availability of freshwater are declining in some parts of the country, while others already face water shortages. Water scarcity is an abstract concept to many and a stark reality for others. Water has been dubbed the source of life, but in reality, it can also be a source of death. We can call our world a thirsty planet, with 1.2 billion people having no access to clean water. In many parts of the world, especially developing countries, there is a water crisis. And it's estimated that by 2025, more than half of the world's population will be facing water-based vulnerability. The water that they are consuming can cause diarrhea, dehydration, even death, but what choice do they have? Each day, almost 1 billion people are living this way, while we are here abusing of our water and taking it for granted. The challenge we face now is how to effectively conserve, manage, and distribute the water that we already have. Lucky for us, there are so many different things that we can do as a society to help.
Personally, learn not to keep water taps running while you're brushing your teeth, shaving, bathing, or washing. Also, don't overfill the levels required to wash your clothes in order to avoid wasting water.
You can also install water-saving toilets that use no more than 6 liters per flush, or even check for water leaks in pipes and toilets and repair them quickly.
You can water plants in the lawns during the evening when the evaporation losses are at a minimum, and you should definitely never water your plants in midday. Another thing you could do is install a system to capture rainwater. It isn't as hard as you think.
We wish to encourage you to explore the local stories and global trends defining the world's water crisis. Learn where freshwater resources exist, how they are used, and how climate, technology, policy, and people play a role in both creating obstacles and finding solutions.
Get involved with local and global water conservation and advocacy efforts. Learn how to make a difference by reducing your water footprint. Without these efforts,
do you know what you can be losing out on?
This